Mhm.
Okay, shalom everyone. We are studying the festivals right now in our class, and we did Passover last week, but we decided to do Hanukkah this Sunday since Hanukkah is coming up soon. And so Hanukkah is a celebration of faith, freedom, and dedication. Interestingly, the word Hanukkah, it shares the same root word in the Hebrew as the word for education. So education and dedication have the same root word, which is very interesting. And I think that's good because when you're truly dedicated to something, you will want to learn as much as you can, right? Okay, so we've been reading through the book To Be a Jew by Chaim Donin Halevi. Um, we have Mora Ezra here. And so usually what we do is we I review the slides and then we open it up for conversation. Shalom, shalom, Mixie. Shalom, everyone. Okay, so a little introduction to Hanukkah. Hanukkah is also known as the Festival of Lights. It's known that more now in modern times. Back in the days of the Bible, it was known as the Feast of Dedication. And so it begins on the 25th of Kislev and it lasts 8 days. And I don't there's no doubt that there's a connection to Christmas being on December 25th, and on the 8th day after Christmas it is January 1st. So between the 25th of Christmas to January 1st, it is also an 8-day period. But Hanukkah obviously came first. But even before Hanukkah and Christmas, the whole ancient world was celebrating around this time. And Rabbi Fohrman of alephbeta.org, he explains that the first man to celebrate the winter solstice was not pagan, but it was our forefather Adam. And what happened was, this is recorded in the Talmud, in the Jewish Talmud. So this is Jewish history, Jewish legend. What happened was Adam, after the fall with Chava, and after being kicked out of the Garden of Eden, he noticed that the days started getting shorter and the seasons started changing. So before it was always springtime, right? It was always just life was 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 uh was happening. But then after the fall, the leaves started dying and falling from the trees, and this went on and on every single day until he saw that the days were getting so short, and Adam feared that one day there would be no more daylight, the sun would no longer shine, and the earth would basically just come to an end as we know it, as he knew it back in that day. And so 8 days before the winter solstice, he started mourning and fasting. And so in the Talmud, when it starts talking about Hanukkah, the very first thing that the Talmud says about Hanukkah is that on Hanukkah, we do not mourn or eulogize or fast. And if you don't understand the story of Adam and this Jewish history about Adam, then you would say, right? If anyone were to ask you what's Hanukkah about, you wouldn't start off by saying, oh, we don't fast or mourn on Hanukkah, right? That's not the first thing that people say when they think about Hanukkah. But the reason why that's the first thing that the Talmud says, is because Adam was fasting before the winter solstice. And then when he realized after the winter solstice that the days started getting longer again, then he dedicated 8 days of celebration, because then he knew that Hashem, that the Creator, did not leave us, and that earth would go on, the world would go on. And he realized that the fact that the days were getting shorter and the leaves were falling and the plants were dying was just minhag ha'olam, or the custom of the world, the way of nature. And so he started celebrating for 8 days. And then Rabbi Fohrman explains that even though this celebration of winter solstice started with Adam, because people lost that history, then they just started celebrating the winter solstice and for pagan reasons, right? And they lost this ancient meaning of why we celebrate winter solstice. So, of course, Hanukkah is not directly tied to the winter solstice, but I do believe the date is the reason why it was around this same date, and also the reason why Christmas was, December 25th. This 25th, this date 25 is very significant, and the winter solstice is also, if you study pagan history, anyways, they'll say that Christians hijacked the winter solstice. And they'll say that Christians hijacked the winter solstice and they started celebrating Christmas instead. But in Judaism, we understand that no, the first person to celebrate in the wintertime was actually our forefather Adam. And so this is perhaps the reason why the temple was dedicated also during this time. I mean, it could have been any day, right? But it was timed right around the winter solstice back in the ancient days. So it commemorates, though, the Maccabean victory over the Assyrian Greek regime and the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem in 165 BCE. So most Jews are not really afraid of Christmas or think that it's super evil or anything like that, because, we understand that there's a historical connection to the Bible, at least in the date. Of course, all the lore in terms of the birth of Yeshua or Jesus, my father always told me from when I was a child that Jesus was not born on the 25th of December. We have no idea when he was born. We speculate as Messianic Jews that he was born around Sukkot. Some people even say Passover. I think Sukkot is more accurate, though, because of the timing of the shepherds and also the symbolism of Sukkot, with God tabernacling with men, etc. So the name Hanukkah means dedication, referring to the temple's rededication and the service of God after being defiled with unclean sacrifices. Antiochus made it a point to, do horrible things in the temple, sacrifice pig, but also do other atrocious things to God's people and prevent them from circumcision and banning the study of Hebrew and Torah and other things. Does anyone want to comment before we go on?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Maccabean revolt restored Jewish political sovereignty as well as religious freedom. So it was both a political and a religious victory. And, a lot of things in the Bible are really we're told in America that politics should be free from religion. But the whole reason for that is to take the power from religion. That was the purpose of, many people wanting to separate politics from religion. And so they want clergymen, to not have a say in what goes on in the political world, because they don't want religion to influence as much what goes on a political level. But, divorcing religion from politics, I believe, means divorcing a very important influence in our lives from a very important power in our nation. And I don't believe that it is proper to do that. That's why at Benei Avraham, we have chosen not to file for 501c3 status. I know in Houston, the at one point, I think it was, I don't know if it was the governor or the mayor or something like that. She was demanding that all of the churches and synagogues submit their sermons to her for approval before they gave it to their congregations in public. And she was lesbian. So she didn't want the clergy, the synagogues and churches to say anything against that, against the LGBTQA movement. And because if organizations file for this 501c3 status, that means that they are subject to the government, when in truth, religious organizations should not. They shouldn't. which is why in communist countries, they try to suppress religion as much as possible. Okay, so Hanukkah celebrates the perseverance of Jewish identity and faith against oppression, religious oppression, political oppression, all sorts of oppression. And a later recorded miracle in the Talmud describes a small amount of consecrated oil, enough for one day, burning for 8 days in the temple's menorah. Now, I call it a later miracle because the actual story of Hanukkah is not found. The original story of Hanukkah is found in the book of Maccabees, okay, which is found in the Apocrypha, which is found in the Catholic and I believe Ethiopian Bible. It's not part of Jewish canon, right? It's not part of the Tanakh. And the reason why is because Judah Maccabee and his group, they installed who was it? The King Herod, right? They installed King Herod.
Hasmoneans?
It was a Hasmonean dynasty that they installed to be kings of Israel, but they were not the rightful kings of Israel. It was supposed to be the tribe of Judah that were kings, right? And so that's why Judaism did not include them. We don't include them in the canon. They are historical books, but they're not considered holy books. I'm talking about First and Second Maccabees specifically. But they're obviously valid for history. But this is why this is why King Herod wanted to kill Yeshua, is because he knew that the Mashiach was supposed to be of the tribe of David, and he knew that he would take over his rightful, if he was the Mashiach ben David, he would have taken over his rightful reign as king of Israel, which Herod took, and Herod was in bed with the Romans, so he didn't want to ruin what he had going for him. So that's why we have, sometimes it seems like there's more emphasis on this rededication of the temple and the miracle that happened with the 8 days of oil burning. But really, this is not the only miracle. The real miracle is that a small band of Jewish men, the Maccabees, stood up for their religious freedom, and even being small in number because of their faith, they were able, through Hashem's mercy, to reconsecrate, to rededicate the temple and obtain religious freedom for Israel once again. So please feel free also to just butt in and comment if you want. Okay, anyone? Okay, so the Hanukkah menorah is an eight-branched menorah because it does not represent the menorah of the temple. A lot of people, Christians, Hebrew rooters, they get mad at Jews. They get mad at us because we are lighting an 8 or 9 branched menorah, because they say that that the temple menorah is supposed to be 7 branches. We know that. And actually, there's a Jewish law that says that we're not supposed to replicate the Jewish temple menorah outside of the temple. So we purposefully want something that is not. So we're not trying to say that this is the temple menorah. We're trying to say with the 8-branch menorah that there was a miracle of oil lasting 8 days, which is why we light 8 candles during Hanukkah. And the 9th one is the servant candle. It's called the shamash. And you can either use candles, but historically it was oil wicks that were used. Now, shamash means servant. Okay, shamash means servant, and it's the service light, or the candle that lights all the other lights. Now, and the menorah is supposed to be placed near a window so that people can see it. It's a public declaration of our faith. We want people to see it who are not Jews, who are passing by the street, which is why public menorah lightings are so significant, are practiced in Judaism. There's always going to be public menorah lightings in every major city where there's Jews, because it's supposed to be a public statement. And woe is the city where a Jew is in fear for their lives, where they do not want to light the menorah. That means that city is not safe for a Jew to live any longer. There is a story about during the days of Nazi Germany, they wanted to persecute Jews who publicly lit their menorahs, And so what a lot of faithful Christians did in solidarity with the Jewish people is, even though they were not Jewish, they lit their menorahs. They lit menorahs so that the Nazi soldiers would not be able to tell who was Jewish or not, because you had Christians lighting their menorahs also. So therefore, if anyone wants to be faithful, not just Jews, but if someone who wants to simply be faithful to the God of Israel, they can also light the menorahs and stand in solidarity with the Jewish people. It should be welcome for Jews for Jews when others do it. Now, lighting the Hanukkah menorah, you're supposed to light it after nightfall, but not too late, because it should be still during a time when people conduct business and affairs, So, but if it's Shabbat, you have to light it before nightfall, before lighting the Shabbat candles, which means actually even before sunset. That's only on Shabbat though, Friday night, basically. And there's 2 blessings that we say every night. And then on the first night, we also say Shechianu. Okay, so the first blessing is for the candles. The second blessing is for the miracles and the victories, military victories. And the Shechianu is for every holiday and also for special occasions. It's blessing God. We've reached this season in our lives. And candles are added, meaning they're put on the menorah from right to left, but lit from left to right. I don't remember the reason for that. Do you remember, honey? I don't remember, but I do remember though the reason why. So in the Talmud,
the newest candle first.
You light the newest candle first, okay? There is a discussion in the Talmud. One house of thought said that we should start the festival with 8 candles lit, and then each day have 1 less. And then another sage said, no, we should be ever increasing our light in this world. Therefore, we should light 1 candle the first night, and then 8 and then increase it every day. Now, the first sage, the reason why he wanted to diminish it every day is because on the first day of the miracle in the temple, they had a lot of oil, and as each day went by, they had less oil. Even though they had enough oil, they had less oil. So that's why he wanted to commemorate the amount of oil that they had in the temple. But the other sage said, no, we want to symbolize that our lights in this world should be ever increasing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the custom that we follow today. Now, laws and customs of the menorah. After you light the Hanukkah candles, you're not supposed to use them for reading or lighting a room. So you should have another light also lit in the room to do things. So the Hanukkah menorah is only supposed to be symbolic. It should not be utilitarian, okay? And the shamash light is used if a flame is needed. The shamash light is basically optional. It's not necessary. And it's praiseworthy for every household member to light their own menorah, but only 1 menorah per household is enough. So we have 1 for each member of our family, but the minimum is just to have 1 menorah. And women can light the menorah on behalf of their household, just like women light the Shabbat candles and the Yom Tov candles. That's also traditionally a woman's role, unless everyone has their own menorah. Now, Hanukkah, another thing a lot of, I guess, Hebrew rooters and Christians, they get mad at Jews about is they go, oh, well, you shouldn't celebrate Hanukkah because it's not commanded in the Torah. Well, we do a lot of things that are not commanded on a daily basis, very religiously. Like, when I see my mother, I say hello, and I do that very religiously because it would be very rude to not greet an elder, right? Or to not pay respect to someone. So, and we have to remember also that Israel isn't just a religious body, it is a nation. And just like every nation, we're going to have special days that commemorate special times in our history. And both Purim and Hanukkah were privileged to be mentioned in the scriptures, in the Brit Hadashah. Hanukkah is mentioned, and of course Purim is mentioned in the Tanakh, and it even says that the Jewish people celebrated Purim ever since that time. So you don't have to celebrate Hanukkah and Purim if you're not Jewish, but I certainly there's nothing wrong for Jews to celebrate it. But we do get the accusation sometimes, being Messianic and having Messianics and Hebrew rooters come and visit our congregation sometimes, thinking that it's wrong to celebrate these holidays, but it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong. God didn't say don't celebrate anything else except for the holidays that I commanded you. He never said that. He said celebrate these and keep them holy. We do not keep Hanukkah holy. Work is permitted during Hanukkah. If you don't celebrate Hanukkah, you're not a bad person. You're perhaps just a bad Jew. Just like you can be a bad American, maybe, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily a bad person, right? Okay, so we also say Hallel. These are certain passages from Psalms, Psalm 113 through 118 during Hanukkah and all the major holidays, and other passages of gratitude. These are customary to recite during prayer services during the Amidah, and also during meals. There's special blessings during Hanukkah. Children are given gelt or chocolate coins or gifts to celebrate. This is a picture of the Hanukkah gelt right here. And Yeshua observed Hanukkah. It's referenced in John chapter 10, verse 22 to 23, where he was in Jerusalem for the Feast of Dedication. This is the historical name for it. This is what Hanukkah means. It means dedication, okay? So he was in Jerusalem for the Feast of Dedication. He celebrated all the holidays because he was a good Jew. And if he was not a good Jew and he didn't celebrate all the Jewish holidays, he should not have expected to been received as Mashiach at all by anyone. But he did. He was a good Jew. He was a faithful Jew. So Hanukkah represents themes of dedication, light, and miracles, aligning with Yeshua's mission to bring spiritual light and renewal into the world, which is, of course, also our mission as Israel, to be light unto the nations, just like Yeshua, following in his footsteps. Oh, I don't know why that didn't work. Sorry about that. Okay, Friday and Saturday night practices. So on Fridays, the menorah is lit before Shabbat candles, even before nightfall. And on Saturdays, the menorah is lit at home after Havdalah, marking the end of Shabbat. And gifts are also given, not not as crazy as normally done in Christian circles, where they kind of splurge and spend a whole paycheck on gifts. I don't think it's like that. It's just little gifts, token gifts, so that the children can enjoy the time but not become materialistic through it. So also games like spinning the dreidel. This fosters this is good for family and children, so they can have fun during this time. And also eating foods fried in oil, such as latkes and sufganiyot, or jelly-filled donuts, is customary during this time to commemorate the miracle of the oil. That's the purpose for that. So Hanukkah's message of light overcoming darkness is universal. It doesn't, whether you're Jew or not, whether you're a Jew or not, light overcoming darkness is a good theme to celebrate. And this holiday encourages faith, resilience, and gratitude, and freedom of religion, freedom from oppression. And as Yeshua participated in this festival, it highlights the importance of spiritual dedication and renewal for all people. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else? I know people have comments.
I was gonna say it was one thing is like, and I remember reading that even if you had only one candle in the house, that you could just light that one candle for Hanukkah. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Hanukkah menorah, but just just to commemorate the day, and you just light that one candle. And if you only had one candle, I guess you light it, and then I think you'd blow it out or something, and then light it again the next day, that kind of thing. I mean, if that's all you had, this because they wanted to make sure that everybody could celebrate this holiday, regardless of how wealthy or whatever they were. So.
Cool, I didn't know that. I have something. This is my Hanukkah. I don't know if you can see. I have to I have to change my background. This is Dora the Menorah.
Mhm.
Dora the Menorah.
That's nice.
So, um, and you guys went into the dreidel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do that, which has the noon, gimel, hey, and shin, which stands for Nes Gadol Hayasham, which means a miracle happened here. Um, I don't know if you guys went into if you guys went into playing the dreidel. I am not really good at it. But each one of those letters, I encourage you to look it up yourself in case I get it wrong. But each one of those letters signifies what amount of gelt you get, like whether it's half or whether you get all of it. And it's a fun little game to play. It's good. It's good culturally. Um, Besides that, it's my understanding that Hanukkah is maybe one of the Moadim, but it's not a Yom Tov, just like they said.
Yeah.
So, um, I think that the most, and also, you make latkes on Hanukkah. Potato pancakes are amazing. Onions. My wife makes them, but you can buy the shredded potatoes. You can buy kosher shredded potatoes there in Walmart with a hechsher on it. I think it's eggs and um
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's a few other things I can't remember. And then you can add in different flavors to it, whether you want to have sweet latkes or salty latkes. Latkes are one of my favorite Jewish food, way better than hummus. Ugh. Or gefilte fish, which is not a fish. I can tell you that. It tastes like cat food. I heard though that there's good gefilte fish, but anyways. Um,
Yeah, fresh made gefilte fish is really yummy.
we'll have to experience that sometime because so far every single one that I had tastes like it should go back wherever it belonged. You might be able to use it to catch fish. You know what? I bet it would make great fish bait. Um, and then there's sufganiyot. Do you guys do sufganiyot on
Mm-hmm.
Hanukkah, which
Yes.
is like a jelly donut? And you can take the donut balls and use a syringe. I mean, it's a little weird, but inject them with jelly donuts. A lot of fun to make sufganiyot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and gelt, which can be gift giving. Okay. I'm sure every family does it a little differently, but the kids in our family can either use the gelt in order to eat it, or they can accrue enough of it and then be able to purchase something with it. So we have
Mm.
a commerce system
That's nice.
at Hanukkah. Great time to spend time with friends and family. That's, I think, that is the main thing is being able to spend time with friends and family. You've got 8 nights, wonderful, wonderful together time. In my view, I would say it's probably the lowest on the spiritual significance of holidays for me personally, but for the family and for the kinder, it's the children, it's a very big deal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'll say comment about the dreidels, like you're saying, shin, um, noon, shin, gimel, and hay, right? Is
Nesgadol Hayasham
the sham, the shin, no,
is turns into a pay
the shin, yeah.
in
So if in
Israel.
Israel, there's no shin, there's a pay instead, because it's what happened here instead of what happened there, type of thing.
Yeah, Nesgadol Hayasham is a great miracle happened there. And Nesgadol Hayapo means a great miracle happened here. That's if you live in Israel.
Yeah, so that's interesting. And then yeah, all the rest is all the rest is it's fun. It is a very I think it is very fun for the kids. And I think it seems like it's I don't know, a lot of and at least in my experience, a lot of Christians are kind of interested in it because it's around Christmas, so they ask questions and things about it. I think it was about 2 years ago or something. Um, I put up I got an inflatable menorah, um, and put it out in the front yard. It was a big one, and they had like the city that I'm in had like some type of
Contest.
Christmas display contest or something like that, and then they saw mine, and so I was one of the.
Third place winner.
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know if I was in a place. They just had a certain amount of winners, and I was one of the winners. And like, and I had just one little decoration. It's pretty funny, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. I kind of felt bad a little bit because I'm sure some of those other guys, they spent hours, setting up their all their lights out there, and all I had is just one little thing. But I guess it was unique enough that it got their attention.
There are some, that's interesting that Rav Atzayahu was saying that it's not very spiritual significant for him personally. The sages, some of the sages, not all of them, some of the sages say that Hanukkah and Purim will be celebrated in the Olam Haba, but not the other holy days.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's
What?
true, but that is, has anyone ever heard that saying? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So we're not gonna have class next Sunday. We're gonna break for Hanukkah, and then we'll resume again the following Sunday. And I heard that, hold on, let me stop recording. Okay, so we're not gonna have class next week. We'll have the class the following week. And then should we go back to Shavuot or should we go to Purim? Purim comes after Hanukkah, or we could go back because we did Passover last week.
I mean, we have time, right? Purim is like 3 months later, right?
Yes, so we'll go back
We'll
to
just go back.
Shavuot.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll go back to Shavuot.